Hello, this is Olivia, and I am ready to chat for our interview. Can you tell me your name?
Oh, hey, Olivia, it's Martina.
Hey, Martina, great to meet you. I'm Olivia from Hiring.com, and this quick chat is to see if you'd be a good fit for a customer success role at genlead.com. It'll take about 5 minutes and will be recorded just so we can double check later.
This is my recruiter. Pretty cool, right? I just built this voice agent myself, and I have absolutely zero background in coding or that much knowledge on AI. And I want to show you how easy it is to build it for yourself, either if you want to use it to scale your company, to sell it to other agencies, or to be honest, just to look cool with your friends. So let me show you the step-by-steps on how to set this up, the settings that you actually need to get this live, and I will even give you the exact prompts that you can copy and paste so that in the next 30 minutes you can build an AI agent that can be live right away. Okay, the first thing that you're going to need is the platform, which is Vapi.ai. The good thing about this platform is that it is free to sign up. You only pay for the calls that you make or that you receive. So as you click on the link, you will go into sign up, and it's going to walk you through the steps to sign up. And I'll just go ahead and click on open dashboard, which takes me into the main page. And this is where you should land after you sign up. This dashboard just tells me the successful calls I've made for the past month, how many, how long they lasted, the total cost. So I know that as you log into a new platform, it might seem a little scary and confusing, but I promise that I'll walk you through the only settings that you really need, not through everything. And to give you a quick overview, let's expand this on the side. We can see my organization here. We are on the overview or dashboard. The assistant is where we're going to click and actually create our own assistant. Another thing that we might use is tools. You come here every time that you want to create a new tool that you want to feed to Vapi. You can import your phone numbers if you want. You can create a new one. This is if you want to make some outbound or inbound calls. Voice library, this tab is pretty cool. You can come in here and you can just test different voices.
Greatness is not achieved by following the crowd, but by paving your own path.
And you can choose the gender, you can select the accent or different languages. This is where you will come and just figure out which voice you want to use. Just come and have fun with this. We also have the API keys tab that eventually you might need. Under more, the other tab that I might need is files. And here is to upload any extra knowledge that you want to give you to your assistant, like knowledge about your company or anything else. And the only other thing here that I really use is this call logs, which is just a summary of every call I've made, and I can call and I can look into was it successful, what was the transcript and the analysis and things like that. So let's go and create our own assistant. So you will click create assistant, give it a name. I do want it to be called Olivia, create assistant. Super straightforward. That is it. We technically have a working AI assistant. Now, if you make a call, it is going to reply to you. It is going to maybe ask questions, but of course it doesn't have the knowledge that you need, but you could go ahead and give it a try. So as we log into this new assistant, you can see two different things in here, two different colorful bars to always pay attention to. On the right side, we have the speed. How long does it take to make this call? Which also called latency. And on the left side, we have cost. And this is what, as a business owner, I really care about. This assistant costs me 10 cents per minute, while a recruiter that I usually will hire costs me about 19 cents per minute. So that's already a huge cost saving. And if you're trying to sell this to business owners, this is what you have to focus on. This assistant will save you this amount of money, but will also save you time from having to train or to manage people. So as you build this, just keep this in mind. There are four main things that the cost and the latency are made up from. And here we go a little bit in the background on how voice assistants work. So imagine you as the person, you're speaking into the assistant. So that's called speech to text. The assistant has to translate that. It then has to transcribe what you're saying. It then has to reason and understand, okay, what kind of question is this? And then it has to reply, which is text to speech. And so this is the cost that we're going to see. There's the cost to host this, which is Vapi. there is the cost to transcribe from when you speak to when the assistant receives this. Then there is the cost to actually reason around this, the model like ChatGPT. And then there is the cost to use a voice to reply to you. Same thing for latency. So every time that we change how the voice sounds or the model that we want to use, cost and latency is going to go up. For latency, or really the time that it takes the assistant to speak back to you, we have a number here, which is about 1,000 milliseconds. Anywhere between 0 and 500 milliseconds, it is super fast. If you call this assistant, they're going to pick up right away. They're going to reply to you super fast. Anywhere between 500 and 1,000, it's still good. When we get to 1,000 to 2,000, which means that the assistant might take 1 to 2 seconds to reply to your answer or to reason in the back. And that's actually not bad. I will say 1,500 is as far as I will go in latency before it gets a little choppy. Anywhere above 2,000 milliseconds, it sounds very robotic. It just takes too much to have the conversation. So if you're building this and it becomes very slow, and you're like, why is this assistant not replying to me? Why is it taking so long? This doesn't sound human. Definitely go back and check the latency and try to scale it back. Okay, now that you know how costs are calculated and how fast and how, let's say, the background on how voice AI works, let's move on and actually build this. The first thing that we're going to pick is the model. Model is to configure the behavior of our assistant, the default provider for this. This is the reasoning behind the assistant. So OpenAI with GPT-4, it's usually a very good model. You can also go with GPT for mini could work. Sometimes I will go and use Anthropic. It is actually a very good reasoning model. And as you see, when I go and click Anthropic and I publish it, the latency goes up a lot while the costs go down. So keep that in mind. For the first message mode, this depends. Do you want the assistant to speak first or do you want the caller to speak first? So if it's an inbound call and the caller is calling, then the assistant will have to say, hello, like, hey, this is the assistant. The opposite, if it's the assistant that is calling someone, you will want to wait for that person to answer. So I'm going to say the assistant speaks first in this case, as I will have people call into my assistant. And you can give a message that is predefined that the assistant is always going to say. In this case, I have it here. I'm going to say, hello, this is Olivia, and I'm ready for your interview. Can you tell me your name? And then it's going to pause and listen for the name. And then we go into the system prompt, which is hardly the most important thing that you're going to have to set up. This is where you configure the behavior of the assistant. You tell them who they are. You give them a role. You create a personality. You give them some tasks. And so I already have this created, and I will drop the link below so you can access this exact file. And I will quickly walk you through what this is. I'm going to give the assistant a role. Hey, you are an AI interviewer. You're working for hiring.com, which is a recruiting agency. I want you to be professional and witty and playful. That's how I want my assistant. Your role is to conduct a screening interview. I will give it some objective, some conversation guidelines, like sound human, please. I have the interview structure. This is what the assistant is going to have to do. And data collection, some things I wanted to keep in mind, and also some extra knowledge base about the role. You can also select the files that we looked at before if you want to give it extra context on who's your company, if maybe you have a big FAQ, if this is supposed to be a customer support assistant and they just have to answer questions. So if there are a lot, you will put them all in this file. As of right now, I'm going to leave it blank. The only other two things under model that we look at is max tokens. Not something really to pay attention to, but if you're curious, this means how many words can the assistant say before it runs out of tokens. 250, it means it might be able to say like maybe 200 words before it stops. For this assistant, it actually might be too much. I don't want the assistant to just ramble and try to use all the tokens. So I'm going to say 200, but feel free to leave it at 250. It's a good number. And then the temperature, which gives it pretty much the randomness of the output. What does that mean? If you turn this up to 2, the output is going to be very random, very made up. You can use this for storytelling. If you turn it down, I would recommend that for something legal, something medical. You don't want the assistant to make anything up, to screw this up, to take big words that don't make sense. So for our use case, which is a recruiter, I'm going to say 0.6 is fine. Okay, let's publish this and let's get in the habit of publish this as often as you can, because if you accidentally log out of this, you lost everything. Okay, let's move on to voice configuration, and this is the fun part. This is where you get to pick the voice that the assistant will have. The default is going to be Vapi, which is a very good model of voices, so a provider. I will say 11 Labs, it is the best out there. This is the one that we just tested. With 11 Labs, you can also add your voice ID manually. You can go on the platform, record the voice, import it in here. Super cool. I have used my own voice. It does get a little more expensive, so I wouldn't use it for a lot of tests. The providers I will recommend are Cartesia. You can go into their website and test their voices as well. Rhyme AI, it's also a good one if you want to keep things fast and cheap, and as well as Azure. So I'm going to pick, let's see, Cartesia, because I know there is a voice that I like, which is called California Girl, just like Katy Perry's song. Oh yes, used to love that song. The model, you can leave it there, and every time you pick a voice, you can pick some additional configurations. First off, default is you're going to have some background noises going on. For example, you can have office noises, you can record your own. I would recommend you just turn this off because it gets a little distracting, it gets a little loopy. You know, when you're making the call, you're probably in a silent place, it's quiet, but the person that's receiving could be in a distracting environment. They don't need extra distraction that's created on purpose. So keep that off. I will add the punctuation boundaries. This is where I want the AI to really stop for a bit. So I want it to stop after a period and after question mark. You can also enable custom speed. I usually leave it as it is. The fun thing is that you can go and actually change the settings of the voice. For each voice now you have to pay attention because the voice that I chose, California Girl, is going to be a little higher, a little cheerier, more happy. So I don't need to really give it a lot of positivity of surpriseness. I'll turn down the sadness and the anger. Why not? But if you choose a different voice, maybe you need to change the settings in a way that resonates with the voice a little more. So this is not a just set it and forget it. Make sure that every time that you change the voice, you actually go and play with the settings and you listen to it and you decide which one makes sense for the voice. I will turn up curiosity because I think this is an interviewer, should be very curious. Okay, moving on to transcriber. The DeepGram program that they have works fine, so I will just leave that as it is. Background denoising enabled, yes, please. Let's get rid of some background noises. Confidence threshold, this means how confident does the transcriber have to be to actually write down the word. If you want it to be 1, which is 100% confidence, anything that it's really not sure about, it's going to leave off the transcript, which you don't want that. And the opposite of 0, it's going to write everything, even if it has no idea of what the person just said. So a middle, it's a good happy ground. And use numerals, I really don't use this that much. Moving on to tools, this is something that we're not going to go over, but this is really if you want to pass the information from Vapi to another platform like Make or Go A Level, if you want to collect all this information. Predefined function, custom functions, also let's leave this out. We don't need this right now to get this going. The important part is here into the analysis. This is also where we tell how do we want the summary, how do we evaluate success, and how do we collect data. So for the summary, the default prompt is going to be, you are an expert note taker, you will be given a transcript, can you please summarize it? I've also built my own here that pertains a little more to what we're working with. I'm gonna paste it. And all I said is, hey, you're an expert note taker. So same thing, summarize this call, and reference the little knowledge base section that I have in the prompt above, and the language they wanted to use, professional but conversational. So nothing special in here. You can mess with those settings. I would recommend leaving them as they are. The summary requests timeout in seconds. It means after how many seconds does Vapi have to stop trying to get this transcript for the summary. 10 seconds is good. After 10 seconds, it's probably not coming. You don't want it to go in a loop. And then the minimum number of messages to trigger the analysis. I will leave this as 2. If it's less than 2, if it's 1, it might be just fake calls that actually didn't go through. Okay, that's all we need to do for summary. And then success evaluation, this is really where I play the hardest. This is the prompt I worked on for a while. And this is, how do we know if the call was successful? So what I want to give it here, and let me show you what this prompt has, success evaluation. I'm gonna say, hey, you are an AI evaluator. Review the transcript of the interview and generate a structured evaluation of the candidate's success against the role requirement. This is a little bit more complex than maybe what other people might be using. If you just want it to be, hey, did you receive the call? Did you book an appointment? Yes or no? That might be it. But here I actually want to collect some things. For example, I want to extract the name, of course, of the person, a role fit score from 1 to 10. So is this aligned with the knowledge base that I have above? In the knowledge base, I really put, hey, for this position, we're requiring someone that can think on their own, that has customer experience, client-facing experience. You can build this out as much as you want. For the purpose of this, I left it very small. Also, I want to know about their communication, their motivation, what their strengths were shown, any gaps or concern, and then recommendations. Should I hire this person or not, and why? So, as I said, this is the one I worked on a little harder so that I can collect this information here. For evaluation rubric is, how do we want this to receive this information? A scale from 1 to 10? Do we want it to say excellent, good, fair, poor, etc.? What I like is a matrix, which is really a mix between those. And for timeout, I'll leave it the same. And at the end, we have structured data. So the structured data is how do we want to extract the information. The language that this uses is JSON. Unless you are using this to connect it to, for example, a spreadsheet and collecting this information, then you might even want to leave this blank. For this, I have a small prompt here, which doesn't tell it that much because I like to put everything I have into my success evaluation rubric. But I'm just gonna say, hey, you're an expert data extractor. You are given this transcript. Can you extract the candidate name? And what is the final recommendation? Do we hire this person or not? And what really matters is that after I add that, I also add the property. Let's see. So I'm going to collect the name, as I said right here, the candidate name. Make sure that you spell it out in the prompt, and also you add the property right here. String, yes, I want to collect in string. And I'm going to mark this as required. And the other thing I want to collect, it is the final recommendation. Still a string, so word, it is enum. This means that I want this AI to return specific things, which is hire, do not hire, and I think I had a third one in here in the evaluation rubric. Hire, do not hire, consider, which really means, hey, let's get a human in here because I am not sure. Okay, those are the 3 things I will want. And yes, this is required. So this is the output I'm going to get. For privacy, I don't mess with this too much unless you're dealing with like medical or legal. You don't really need any HIPAA compliance things. I want to make sure my audio recording is on so I can review the call. You have the option to also enable video recording just as of right now, which is September 2025. The person that makes the call, that receives the call, cannot see themselves. So the camera might be on, but they don't know. So either let them know or avoid that. Okay, start speaking. When should the assistant start speaking? This is going to tell you how many seconds it should wait before it starts speaking. After that, the person says something. 0.4 seconds sounds good to me. I really don't change this that much. This is going to be in English. Okay, I'm going to skip this because we don't need it. Voicemail detection, I'm not going to use a voicemail right now, so I'm going to leave it blank. Stop speaking plan, after how many words? I will leave it as it is, voice seconds, voice back off. Okay, call timeout settings. I usually will mess with this, silence timeout. After 30 seconds, if the person doesn't say anything, it's going to stop speaking. That sounds good to me. Keypad, I'm not going to use that, so I'll leave it there. Messaging, this is where you will put, for example, a make or an URL if you need to send the information somewhere else for a webhook. Authorization, don't need that. HTTP headers, also don't need that right now. Client messages, this is not something that you might need right now. Server messages, this is the output that you will get if you decide to collect this information somewhere else. And I usually only want the end of call report. So let's get rid of everything else. Okay. Voicemail, I don't need that. End of call message. Yes, I want the assistant to say goodbye. This is a message that you can have the assistant say when the candidate is not replying or the caller, anyone that is picking up the phone. I might say, are you still there? Why not? And widget, which I really don't mess with. So this is all. We have our own assistant. Going to publish it right here. And let's give it a call to see how it's working.
Hello, this is Olivia, and I'm ready for your interview. Can you tell me your name?
Oh, hey, Olivia. My name is Martina.
Hi, Martina. Great to meet you. So I'm an AI interviewer with hiring.com, and I'll be conducting a quick screening interview for the customer success role today. This should take around 5 minutes. And just so you know, the call is being recorded so our team can review it later. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, sounds great.
Perfect. So Martina, let's jump right in. I'm curious, what's driving you to look for a new opportunity right now?
Well, I'm actually looking to make more money.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah, compensation is definitely important. Are there any other factors besides the money that you're considering? Like maybe growth opportunities or company culture?
Nah, that's it. I just want to make more money.
Okay, I appreciate the honesty there. So, let me ask you about your client experience.
All right, that's enough. Yay, first call is done. Congratulations. So you can see it's asking me the questions that I wanted to ask based on this interview. It is putting some filler words like, yeah, I know this is glitching a little bit. And what I will do for that is that I might change the provider. So as I said, Entropic, it does take a little bit more latency to run. So maybe switch it to OpenAI, but it's working. And let me show you now, after we've made the call, we should receive a transcript and a success evaluation. So I'm gonna go up here, call logs. We should have received our latest call. Let's see, right here. And we have the log of the call. We have the full transcript. We can even listen to it. And here is the analysis. So the data I wanted to collect is the name and the recommendation, which is do not hire. So good, evaluated it well. And then it's going to tell me, okay, this person name is Martina, the role fit 1, communication 3, motivation 1, strength, direct and honest. So you can see it's working. It's giving us a recommendation. It's telling us why we should not hire this person. Of course, you can set this up for any kind of scenarios that you want. It can be for a recruiter like this, or it can be an inbound caller, just answering phone calls, customer support. If people want to order, complain about something, this is something that you can set up, and then you can receive all the information needed. So that is it. I hope you guys stick to the end, and I would love to see if you end up building your own assistant. So please send me a message if you do. Let me know if this was helpful, or if you have any other questions as you set up your first AI assistant.